Did you find the transition for your family in or out easier?
I think for us, hi Trina first, sorry. For us, both transitions were, I think, easy because we were coming from, we have moved before a lot. ISKL was, I think, our 5th international school. So coming from Jakarta, that was a very similar school to ISKL, made it also very easy. At the same time, when we arrived at ISKL, there were some friends that also moved with us or later. So, it always felt like we were in the same place, just with new friends. And moving out I was worried at first because it was our first time out of Asia. We've been in Asia for 16 years. So it was, going to Scotland, we were worried, but as soon as we arrived, it was so welcoming. And I think also the kids were academically strong, so they didn't have to adjust or anything. We were worried about my 11th year old because 11th grade, because she was she moved in the middle of her IB. And they always say that the IB is very hard, you cannot move. So now she's in her 3rd school of IB. And I think the foundation that they got at ISKL was so strong that even with all the transitions that we have had in these COVID times, that we had to move in the middle of it, it didn't really affect their results academically and socially. I find them very, very happy, even we cannot move. So yeah, I think the transition hasn't been as bad for us.
Thanks for sharing your experiences, Claudia. You've experienced so many different moves, and it is affirming to know that even in a rigorous IB diploma program, that transition is possible. John, I'd like to direct the same question to you, especially since you were repatriating to Australia and there's a difference in curriculum and school years. What did you find easier, the in or out transition?
Yeah, thanks, Trina. Well, moving in was so long ago, I might start with moving out as it's a little fresher in my mind. First of all, I'd just say that we're very lucky to be moving back to a country where COVID is, the COVID levels are very, very small. So schools are open, the campuses are open, and obviously our hearts go out to people in countries where it's more of a challenge at the moment. So with campus open, what the first challenge we had was, as you said, Trina, the school calendar is actually different in Australia. So the school year starts in January instead of August, like it does at ISKL. And so the first thing we need to decide is whether to effectively push our children forward 6 months or pull our children back 6 months. We were very appreciative of the fact that we're able to talk to the middle school principal, school teachers, counsellors, other admin staff about their opinion and input into, the readiness for the children going into various year levels. And that really helped us to make our decision. Ultimately, we made the decision to keep the children with their peer groups, so, of children of similar age groups, which meant that our daughter skipped forward 6 months and our son actually came back 6 months. We found that was very, very important from a social and emotional point of view. They have settled in beautifully. I was just listening to Rami about agility and adaptability, and it really rang true when thinking about how well our children have gone in the last few months settling into their new school. Academically, we've found they've been very well equipped, bringing everything they've brought from their ISKL education. Again, emotionally and socially, they seem to be making friends very quickly. Our son has actually surprised not only us, but I think himself. He has come into his new school with great confidence. All of these things, have come from ISKL. A couple of practical things that the school did that I just want to mention too. We attended a parents' transition session before we left the school, which was very, very useful. Thank you, middle school counsellors. They talked of the phenomenon of reverse culture shock. And that's one thing that we've really, it really helped the parents also moving back home. We love being around our fellow nationals, family and friends, but we're missing the vibrant international community that ISKL brings, and the opportunities that we've been able to experience being part of that rich culture of various people of various backgrounds. So we have good days and bad days, but mostly good days. The other thing I'll just mention before I hand over to others is the moving on ceremony that the school put on for the children was also very, very, very useful for everyone in terms of getting a sense of closure. It was difficult to say goodbye, and I could see the children really appreciated that ceremony and being acknowledged, and it helped them with their finishing the chapter at ISKL and moving on to their new schools and their new friends. So thank you, ISKL, for that.
Thanks, John. Thanks for sharing some of the things you found particularly helpful. And it is true that reverse culture shock is a real thing when you are repatriating to your own home country. Vibecke, you had an experience where you not only repatriated to your own country, but same city and same school. What was that like for you and your family?
Well, we had a lot of the same experiences as John, where we went back to the same school, same neighborhood, all those sort of things. And what I experienced, or my children experienced, is that they were really well prepared to go back into a situation of studying during COVID. They had already had continuous learning with ISKL for a few months. And also, as John said, the moving on ceremony was really, really useful for them to take that part of ISKL with them and to move back to Norway. And we kept in touch with a lot of our friends, and they still do online. And I think that made it really a lot easier for them. And they also were very active in every step of the way to repatriate. So they were hands-on, and they were also allowed to participate in making decisions on what to send, what to keep, and all the schoolwork that they did at ISKL, we still have that. So and they cherish that a lot. So and their artwork from the art classes that they had, we had that framed. They're in our apartment. They're in their rooms. We gave some away for Christmas. So all little things that were really important to them to keep, they kept with them. And they're still a very major and big part of our lives. And also with things that they learned that will help them in the future also, like the Malawati way, which is take care of yourself, take care of others, take care of this place, which is very much alive both in our house, in my workplace as a teacher now in Norway, and in their lives in general. It's a good reminder of our time in ISKL and how that worked for them, and how that teaching situation was in the classrooms for them, but also as a tool in their daily lives here in Norway. Although they miss ISKL and they miss that a very welcoming environment that they had, they still kept those things with them to make that transition a lot easier. So we didn't have any, we had sadness, but we don't have that frustration that I was expecting more frustration and more, as you see in children, it's really hard for them when things change. Also, I think the way they teach in ISKL with, for example, the student parent teaching, well, when they take their parents into the classroom and show them all of their portfolios, what they've learned, and their strategies on learning, and how they're so proud of their work, and that's really empowering them to do more of that in our classrooms here in Norway. Even though it's not what's expected of them, they still do, and they still feel that that they're proud of what they're learning and how they're using those skills that they learned at ISKL. So I think that the transition where they took all those skills with them as well really
That's
help.
wonderful. And it's so great to see that they're taking ownership over their own learning and continuing to foster those skills in a new environment.